Alpha no longer the board. Jushin already gone. So yeah, I think that's where we're going to be rotating our first picks. Suyo, locked in. Pick up the Edith, Mongolia. You don't have an Alpha to worry about. You can honestly just go a high loss Alpha right now and high chance you're going to win the game.
Alpha's banned out.
Oh, excuse me, no. High loss Edith.
That makes sense.
Because the Alpha's gone.
That's why I would have sworn that maybe they'd go for, you know, a ban onto the Suyo. Suyo first pick against what goes well against the Suyo in the jungle?
If they have a Fanny option there, if they have the Hilda and the high loss just applying pressure and then the Fanny just free farming, that's going to be their best option. Let's see if they can try, if they are willing to try and match it with a Hayabusa later on, if ever that's going to go into the third pick. But no, they'd rather pick up the Aurora instead. Okay, which makes it a little bit harder for Colombia to decisively go high loss. But then they can honestly go surprise and go Tigreal Edith or Valentina. Tigreal, Edith, Valentina are the three picks I'm looking at here. Although teams in WEC Women's right now have been picking gold laner a bit more often in the first phase.
That's true. That's true. And I think it's too risky.
Yeah.
Don't try and leave that later for a surprise option to be able to win the lane. I think that's going to be very important here, especially for Colombia. So they go for the Sicilian first, putting that into the mid lane for Leah, I believe. And the big question is, you were talking about big heroes like the Tigreal, but can Prime Maki God play the Tigreal?
It's not going to be the Tigreal. We posed two suggestions, Tigreal, Edith, and they decide to pick the Edith instead of the Valentina Sicilian. So they have reach, and they have a relatively strong punish if that Edith goes into the roam. I believe they might be looking for a different pick to park in the EXP lane to match the Hilda. So as we mentioned earlier, Hayabusa, third pick for Mongolia. So now Mongolia might actually consider banning out the... I'm trying to think if they're willing to pick CC into Hilda as the roam matchup.
See, I don't know where this Edith is going, but assuming that it's going to go into the hands of Valu in the EXP lane, Prime Maki God has a Ruby in her composition. If they want to protect the Hayabusa, maybe you want to take that away. I know it's not a common pick that we see too much in the meta, but as a respect, it is an option to go for, but they go for the high-lows first.
Yeah. Working the Ruby in the roam paired up with the Sicilian against the Aurora means good communication is required between the Ruby and the Sicilian. Ruby might be susceptible to the Aurora. Yes, you can say that, oh, but the Aurora might actually be at risk of just getting pulled back by the Ruby. Yeah, that's a 100% possibility, but there's also the possibility that because of the reach advantage that Aurora has, she might not even be close enough for the Ruby to pull. So if ever Ruby does get slotted in, not gonna knock it, they just need to communicate it much better, who's going to initiate or what. So Colombia, I would suggest they take away the fast scaling. There we go. Gold laners. So Harith is gone. It would be too much of an overthink if they decidedly banned the Lunox. Ooh, they banned the Carmilla. They thought that, okay. I'm still leaning towards the idea that this Edith might actually be going into the roam already. And I'd want to see a different EXP lane pick for Colombia.
So what are our options, right? Hilda's been taken, Phobius has been banned out.
Still have the Khalid if you want the
yes, Khalid.
aggressive rotational speed. If not the Khalid, then they might consider something, again, crazy and unique, which would be the CC in the EXP lane, but against the Hilda would be eh.
We saw the Arlet work earlier on.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it was good against the Hayabusa.
But against Arlet versus Hilda might actually be a moot point. You know what, if Colombia has a Uranus in the EXP lane available for them, it might be okay. You don't see the gold laner yet, but if the gold laner is not enough, Uranus might be not bad a pick. You just need a gold laner now that can apply slows, maybe a little bit of crowd control.
So what are we thinking about there? Because for Yuri, she's only picked up the carry, Clint, and then a ton.
If that's the case, I'll just go Clint. A little bit more backline. You're up against a Hayabusa now. Oh, the Ruby's looking a little bit more enticing with the presence of the Hayabusa around. If you're going to be playing around the Clint, at least you're going to have a little bit of peel. But no, they still go for the Bruno. Bruno's been cursed in WEC except for once. I think it was only Shell who's had coming up from the top of my head a successful Bruno game. So they go Bruno, Sicilian, Edith, big ticket ultimate. Roamer? I want to see them. If they have an EXP lane Cho, I wouldn't mind.
Cho's an option.
Yeah. But it's rare to find the EXP lane Cho at this level. Again, we were posing the idea of a CC, but the CC might actually be left behind. Oh! Oh my, no, this Minotaur might struggle. Oh no.
I think it will be tough. I was thinking something along the lines of Cho or even maybe a Kufra. If they want to go in that direction.
Yeah.
But Minotaur into the Aurora as well.
If you have a Lolita with you, just lock it in right now. A Lolita will instantly make the Sicilian Edith Bruno even somewhat cry. Good reflection. Good. You match the healing that Minotaur can dish out. The motivation roar. This time you dish out shields, which should help you out a bit. She's been nerfed. Her scaling with magic has been scaled back a few patches ago. But I still wouldn't knock it.
I really want to know. Oh, there you go, Belleric, finally!
Oh!
Shoutouts to Goni over there. Man, he's been waiting for this Belleric in the Rome for quite some time, and finally it shows up, and none other in the hands of Mongolia. How do you think this Belleric is going to work in this composition?
I'm just kind of worried that it will just get poked to oblivion by the Sicilian. Because even though you're probably thinking that, because I thought about this once before too, that, oh, I'm a Belleric, Bat's Feast, I'll just stand in front of the Sicilian. I get poked down really badly as a Belleric going up against a Sicilian. The good thing is you're up against a Minotaur now, that the Minotaur might be a little bit more susceptible. Not 100% behind the Belleric pickup, but I feel like that was best case scenario at this point.
So if you had to choose for a final match, Colombia, Mongolia, who are you feeling more?
Feeling the draft of Mongolia a little bit more, but there's something about the Edith Sicilian that might actually be poisonous to Mongolia.
All right, so there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get into the next upcoming match, we're going to throw it over to Mirko and Naisu. Casters, boys, take it away.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, Naisu. Like Eterna mentioned earlier, Mr. Gani Man, a fellow caster, a colleague of mine, a friend of mine, has just been preaching in his own church. You know, it's called the Gani Church, the Church of Belleric. This guy's
Church of Belleric?
Every single day.
Is he a Belleric man?
At work, in game, when we play, he'd just be like, yo, Mirko, you know what's cool? Belleric. He plays Belleric. Sometimes we lose too, so it's not like it's not a foolproof kind of situation, but he just really likes Belleric. Let's see if it can work here in the hands of Mongolia. We heard what the analyst said, and we're going to jump into the land of Dawn. Personally, though, nice. What do you think of the Belleric, right? Maybe it's time for the glorious evolution of roamers. We had initiators, we had healers, now it's time for a tree.
I was going to say, where are we going with this Belleric? Is he initiator? Is he, well, I guess he just kind of posts up.
He's everything now.
When he Wrath of Dryad,
revitalize.
little revital.
See?
I get it. Wrath of the Dryad, post up, let the roots go, plus the revitalize.
Recycle, yo. Go green. That's
go
what
green.
they're. That's the message right here for Nick in the Rome position with the Brave Smite too.
With the Brave Smite too.
So there's going to be so much sustain, but I think one of the concerns that Renmar brought up is very, very valid. The fact that the Belleric is, especially without the flicker, you're very reactive as a roamer, right? You really are waiting for the initiating power of the enemy team to go onto you, for the dive to happen before you pop into Wrath of Dryad, revitalize as well, and there's no catching power. Against a Sicilian, that poke's going to hurt.
It is, and I think, you know, it's not like you can really surprise people with a Belleric too. Without the flicker, like, they're going to see this tree guy coming towards them.
He's a tree, man. There's nothing flashy about that.
You can't just surprise factor. So I feel like, again, that's where you have to rely on the fact that at least you have, you know, this frigid glacier from the Aurora pick to kind of help you up, because it allows you to go ahead and start that fight and then set things up. Good little early aggression. They do burn the flicker from Prime Maki God, so she doesn't have that available. And good rotation, good response from Mongolia.
Just super slow again from Mongolia. The typical game we saw just how, up top there's a trade, and I guess we can talk about the Hilda pick, right? Initially when I saw the Hilda pick, I was like, all right, why would you pick a Hilda into a Suyo? But it's more of a deny pick, because it's a Nolan and Alpha banned away as they picked up the Suyo first pick. Yeah. You really could see what Colombia were trying to do there. If Mongolia didn't pick the Hilda, that would have been a good Colombian Hilda pick for sure, because there's only assassins left there. Leah's got to be careful, though. She is up against this Hayabusa, and I think Noxon might He's setting his eyes on towards Leah to go for it. This is where the Beleric shines, though. You can just play reactively around a neutral objective. You can just wait and zone the other members away from Colombia.
Looks like they're going to do that. Not level 4, though, just yet.
Look at that.
So she's going to deal with some of the damage, get some of that regen up, too. Primal Wrath going to be forced out. Noxon will get that turtle, though.
Gee.
I don't think they go for more, but actually, already popping the shadow kill. Not going to be enough damage, though, just yet. Good little damage check there. But ultimately, Mongolia gets the objective. They're happy with the turtle. And I think that could have gone different, obviously, if you had some of those level 4s available. But also take note that they have 2 revitalizes this time, right? So for Colombia, when they approach some of these fights, not only do they have to get past that Wrath of the Dryad ultimate and the Frigid Glacier, but also 2 revitalizes later on when they're all clumped up together.
2 revitalizes, and you know the passive of Hilda, right?
Yeah.
When you get into a bush,
You heal.
you heal. Now, do we count Beleric
I was
as
gonna
a
say, are
bush? He's technically a tree in the game, right?
That's
so,
a good question.
it's a great question, right? Well, maybe Moonton can add a specific kind of like interaction between the 2
What if he
picks.
did? When he ulted, he created a bush.
He creates a bush. Maybe, right? I mean, again, it's just really good zoning. But again, you just have to be very careful about the poke. You're really good with zoning. The Noxon trying to go in, just
She
putting a bit
wants
of kill pressure. It's a 1,000 gold lead right now for Mongolia, so nothing too crazy. And as we get to the mid game, it's still going to be a big concern for Mongolia. Leah will be stacking up constantly here.
Yeah.
There's no real threat towards her, except for Nanoxon.
Yep.
I would say Nanoxon and Mob Psycho, but Mob Psycho, we need to wait for those item power spikes to hit before we can actually see Mob Psycho become a threat. And in the gold lane, surprisingly, Mob Psycho is doing a really good job. You'd expect Bruno to be the one just absolutely bullying the Moskov in the early game.
Right now, she's completely fine. A little bit of pressure there earlier on, but I feel like so far Colombia hasn't been able to find that opportunity that they've been looking for. And also part of this is just the fact that, you know, this time around we've seen Sicilian be picked up a couple times, and it's never gotten to that stage of the game where, oh, the bad impacts are hurting, you know, and you got all those stacks that you wanted. So I would love to see, you know, as this is our last live stream game too for today, to go the distance. You know, I'd love an 18 to 20 minute game to see where Leah does land with this Sicilian, how much damage she's able to pump out. But right now, this is the test. Objective is going to be up. It looks like Talia is going to be forced out a little bit. And once again, that front side lineup for Mongolia is going to be set up, providing that vision. This time around, a little bit different, though. They have those ultimates available. Nika, she does pop the Revitalize for now, trying to find that angle, but Noxon will get the turtle. Oh, that spear won't connect either. So, again, it's just an objective. They back off.
And something about the Sicilian in the mid lane that we definitely need to talk about is, all right, we've been talking about the mid game, we've been talking about the scaling of this pick, but if Mongolia decides to just play this non-fight gameplay and continuously just control neutral objectives with the Beleric, it's actually going to be really good for them because they will be able to snowball to a point where that scaling will be kind of off. As a mid laner, you're not... Oh, hold up. All right, Leah caught in the bad spot earlier, but you don't scale as fast as, say, like a gold laner, right? Gold lane, you get all the gold in the world. Even XP, you get a lot of XP, but for Leah in the mid lane, scaling becomes a bit of an issue if it's a very slow game. You need to rely on these picks, you need to rely on these kills, and Anoxon.
Okay, the Noxon has been looking for this all game. Again, Shadow Kill going to be used, but not really enough damage just yet. And I like the points you're making, you know, with that. Yuri went down, by the way, so Yuri did go down in that exchange all by herself. But I think that's the part, is if you're going to have the Sicilian, you need to be able to get the stacks, because really, for the most part, it's just, if you're not able to get there, you struggle. Good Clock of Destiny already being picked up too, but that's my thing here, man, is really the lineup that Colombia has. It hasn't been able to utilize even the fact that you have this Minotaur here. Like, you haven't been able to get the Minoan's Fury off. Maybe this is the moment. Flicker out defensively, value there too. Leah using the claws, still looking for more, but they're just forced off. This is just too much. Still with 2 Revitalize available. It doesn't even look like they're able to contest. Again, Shadow Kill going to be used. Little damage check, she'll go back to safety. And this all still pushing down to tier 2.
Very slow, absolutely slow from Mongolia, and that's how they want to take it right now. Talia is actually falling behind up against the Hayabusa. A freeze!
Again, the freeze going to come in. This might be the moment. Revitalize going to be popped. Frigid Glacier as well to find 2 members. Still Valu popping the Primal Wrath. And because of the double Revitalize, no one really in danger from Mongolia. Third turtle of the game is up for the taking. And this might just be 3 for 3 in the turtles. You can see where the focus is here on the bottom side. A Mob Psycho might be in trouble. She knows that pressure, and Anoxid is there. So the junglers both down on the bottom side. won't be focusing on the
Purify.
turtle, so they're fine.
Yeah, even the Purify committed down earlier there, so some big resources already spent despite... Well, Mongolia actually didn't go for the turtle. Nika's just gonna walk up.
Oh, Wrath of the Dryad again, gonna pop into the Frigid Glacier this time around. Nanoxin will be looking for a kill, and she finally gets it. Nika is punished as well, but look at the double kill. Nanoxin's been waiting all game, and finally at the 7.5 minute, she gets a double.
Man, that was a big fight. And honestly, it looked pretty good for Leah. The fact that they were able to get the Sanguine Claw down, the AoE abilities down, but unfortunately just a tad bit... well, Value's actually going to be poked down. Yeah, a tad bit too weak in the early game, I would say, to actually get those kills. Leah's still stacking up. She's actually 2 whole levels down of Ethan. Nanoxin's just going to steal that away. And I was about to say before that fight happened, right? Nanoxin on the Hayabusa, this is a very strange occurrence. We don't usually see a Hayabusa actually out-farm or out-2 a Suyo in the early game this hard. This is a 3-level lead for the Hayabusa.
It's a crazy lead.
Where in reality, usually in the early game, it's always the Suyo who has an advantage because you're online from level 3. You can go for these skirmishes. You have that execute built in for the skirmishes in the early game and pickoffs as well, but it's Nanoxin who holds a lead. Free Lord as well. That's why they didn't go for the third turtle. They were waiting just for the 8th minute, and now they're just ganking Talia.
Man, that's a struggle. She's only level 10.
The non-fight strategy.
Oh! The show up from Mob Psycho. Talia won't escape, so as we talk about, you know, the gap that's going on here, it's a little bit even more dire now of a situation for Colombia.
That's crazy. Talia just got picked off. The SOD landed, and when a Moskov can 1v1 the Suyo at the 8th minute mark, that's already a DHS 3-item power spike for this late game pick.
Again, huge momentum in their favor for Mongolia. The shields are even going to pop, so still, as Nanoxin walks this Lord up on the top side, this is going to be so difficult for Colombia because of the fact that you're talking about a 7,000 gold difference at the 9-minute mark. Again, the Frigid Glacier going to be utilized just yet. Still looking just for the setups here. Again, Shadow Kill going to be used under the tier 3. Holy Shield still up for now until the next minions march on in. The mid lane is going to be popped, and now the top side shield goes down as well as the Lord works on the turret. Colombia just facing off against Mongolia. Now the mid turret going to be next here. Prime Makiga does pick up a Flask of Oasis, but it might not be enough to actually sustain through this, and it looks like Mongolia just takes the discipline route, takes 2 base turrets, and gets ready for the last one as they march in with the bottom wave.
It's going to be really tough to defend. They're just heavily relying on Leah to actually, clear off the wave. But again, it seems like they can just die.
Balu goes in, pops the final Wrath. Wrath of the Dryad too, the Frigid Glacier will be able to find 3 members, and Oxen jumps in with the Shadow Kill, comes in to clean up, and that is a wipeout. Mongolia comes out strong at 10 minutes, 15 seconds, and will work on the base and take the victory.
In one fell swoop, Mongolia take the dub. 10 minutes is all they needed to get rid of the threats that we were talking about in the early game. And Suyo was such an oppressive force that we were talking about for the early game. Unfortunately, they were not able to actually get that done. They weren't able to get any neutral objectives zoned away completely by that Beleric. And man, now I can see it. Now I can see the vision of Ghani.
Ghani's
the Church of Beleric.
You got it,
zoned. You don't need to be flashy, just be a tree. Sometimes in life, keep it simple, man. You don't need to be Flicker Man. You don't need to be Initiation Man. You can always just be
Revitalize Man.
Wrath of Dryad, Revitalize, plus the Hilda.
I was going to say, wait, is he still a man? Like, he's Revitalize.
He's a Revitalize. He's a Revy Man.
He's a Revy Man. Is Ghani, is he a high-ranked Beleric player?
He's climbing for sure,
He's
man.
climbing?
Yeah, he's pushing the MMR for Beleric, and we can definitely see why he's been talking a big game about his Beleric and why Beleric should be meta. He
I'm a
says
believer.
it should be prio.
He should be prio?
He doesn't just say it should be meta, it should be picked. No, he says it should be prio. That's how good my boy Beleric is.
Hey, if you guys are watching this, I mean, I have become a believer now in the
We
Beleric.
are now believers.
We're now believers
Beleric.
for the Beleric squad, and it's great to see. And I think, you know, it's a good way they played it because, again, I think a big part of that, what made it work so well, other than the fact that, like you mentioned with the jungle, like the gap was so much, which is a surprise to shut down a Suyo like that, but also the double revitalize. Every single time Colombia was looking for a fight, man, like they just couldn't, like they didn't have enough damage early on because, again, a Sicilian takes so long to build up.
Too long.
You throw in 2 revitalizes, it's even that much more difficult.
Yeah. We're going to send it over to the analyst, man, to break it down. Are you guys also believers now of the Beleric Club?
Is that a bias or